Hello, everyone. We are starting a new unit. It's called the Mathematics of Personal Finance, and we'll be talking about simple interest, compound interest, and investments, and generally speaking, about banking. The first topic we discussed is called simple interest. First of all, what is interest? If you save some money, let's say you have saved like $500 or $1,000, and um, you want to open a bank account because obviously you're not going to uh, put the money under your pillow and sleep on it. So if you have some money accumulated, $500, $1,000, $2,000, whatever amount, it could be even larger amount, you are going to open a bank account and leave that money in a safe place like in a bank. So the thing is that when you leave your money in the bank for, let's say, 1 year or 2 years or whatever period of time, the bank is using your money and they are making money from your money. And these bankers, they know how to do that. And at the end of the day, in order to appreciate your business, in order to thank you that you actually gave your money to these bankers and they use your money and they became actually richer, in order to thank you, they give you some money and it's called interest. It's like a token of appreciation, you can call it. Okay. So interest is amount of money that is paid by the bank to the customer um, because the customer gave their money to the bank in the form of an investment. They opened a bank account and they left the money there and they gave access to the bank. Of course, whenever the customer wants to get the money back, they can go to the bank and ask for the money. No issues about it. But normally, when an investor invests long term, let's say 2 years, 3 years, or even 5 years, opens a bank account, so especially accounts like GICs, guaranteed investment certificates type of accounts, um, the money stays there for a long period of time. And who has access to this money? Who can use this money? Obviously, the bank. So that's why they um, pay you interest to thank you for your business, basically, and make you happy. So amount of the interest, we show it with capital I, is the amount of money the bank pays you as an investment, as an investor. P is standing for the principal, which is the initial amount of money that you start your investment with. On day one, when you go to the bank, you open a bank account with like $500 or $1,000. That is your principal, basically. Okay. Then there is something called annual rate of interest, which is normally in the form of a percentage, but in our calculations, we're going to express it as a decimal. For example, you might have heard on the news that they're saying that the rate of interest in such and such bank is 1.5%, or another bank has a better rate of interest. They are offering 2% or 3% to customers. So that 2%, or expressed as a decimal 0.02, is called the rate of interest, which could be different from one bank to another bank. And T stands for time in years. Some investors want to leave the money in the account for like 5 years. They are long-term investors. Some people leave the money in the account for only 1 year. So it depends on the customer. Whatever they want, they're going to do with their money. So these three factors, principal, rate of interest, and time, determine the amount of interest that the customer receives at the end of the year normally. So the bigger amount of money you have in the account, obviously you have to expect a bigger amount of interest. If you have $1 million in your account, obviously you're going to receive more money in the form of interest compared to the case where you have only $500 in your account. Um, if the rate of interest in such and such bank is like higher, so that bank would pay more interest to the customer compared to the other bank that is offering a smaller rate of interest, obviously. And also for the time, if you leave your money in the account for like 10 years compared to 1 year, obviously, if you leave the money in the account for 10 years, you're going to earn more interest compared to the short period of time of 1 year investment. So all of these three factors, P, R, T, they determine the amount of interest. And the formula that we use is the following: I equals PRT. This is the formula known as simple interest formula. And I stands for the amount of interest, as I said. P is the principal, R is the rate of interest. You have to punch in your calculator as a decimal. So 3% would be 0.3 and so on and so forth. And time is always in years. When you multiply them, you get the amount of interest. Now, when you have received the interest and you initially had, of course, P dollars, nothing happens to your initial principal. When you add them up, that gives you the final amount in your bank account. So A stands for final amount in your account, and P is, of course, the principal, which is actually the initial amount in the account, and I stands for interest. And I think it's very logical to say that if you have like $500 and you receive $60 in interest, now 500 plus 60 equals $560 final amount in your bank account. It makes sense. So A equals P plus I, okay? Whatever you had initially, plus the amount of interest you received from the bank as an investor, add them up, that's the final amount in your account. But the thing is that we just said that simple interest amount, capital I, is actually PRT. That's what we said. So if I substitute and I factor out the GCF, greatest common factor, so I end up with P times 1 plus RT, which will become a formula that you can use to find the final amount. So you may say A equals P times 1 plus RT. And this is a formula that helps you to calculate the final amount in your account, given the principal, given the rate of interest, and the time in years that you have your investment. This magic triangle, I call it, becomes very handy in calculating any of these four factors. If you want to find I, for example, so you can cover I with your hand, and the formula is PRT right before your eyes. So I equals PRT. See, you want to find I, you cover I. So let me write the formula. It becomes I equals PRT. Now, if you want to find P, or sometimes R or T, if the unknown in a given problem is not I, it's P or T or R, then in that case, you just cover that element. You want to find P, cover P with your hand. So what do you see? You see I over RT. It's right there, see? So the formula becomes I over RT. So that's a new formula. You don't need to memorize. If you want to find R, you cover R with your hand like this. So you see I over PT right there, correct? So I over PT. That's the formula for calculating the rate of interest. And if you want to find the time, if the question says how long should an investor leave the money in the account in order to receive such and such amount of interest, whatever. So T is the unknown. You cover T with your finger. And C, the formula is I over PR right there. You can see it before your eyes. So it's magic triangle. I over PR. Okay, so this way you learned like four formulas, but in fact you didn't learn the four formulas. You just learned the magic triangle, and whatever unknown you want to find, you can derive it from there. So let me give you a numerical example. Let's say we have an investor, and this investor has a principal of $2,500, and this amount is invested at 4.5%. So the rate is 4.5%/A, which means per annum. It's always annual rate of interest, and it's simple interest. And this is for time, which is 26 weeks. Okay, for 26 weeks, you leave the money, $2,500 in the account, and the bank pays you 4.5% as an investor. And we want to see how much the investment is worth after 26 weeks. So basically, what's the final amount? So to do this question, so first we're going to calculate the amount of interest. Let's say we want to calculate both, okay? So we're going to say I equals PRT. step one is always writing the formula down. And then step two, we're going to plug in the numbers, 2,500. 4.5% as a decimal will be 0.045. Okay. And so this as a decimal will be 0.045. Okay. And then time T stands for time in years. But this question doesn't give us the time in years. It gives us in weeks. So if it's weeks, you have to convert the unit. You have to convert weeks into years. How many weeks are there in 1 year? 52 weeks. Therefore, we have to divide 26 by 52 to convert it into years. Okay? So we go 26 divided by 52. Okay? If it would say time is like 2 years, I would just plug in 2, no questions asked. Or if it would say like 3 months, we know that there are 12 months in every year. So I would divide 3 by 12. I would convert months into years, and then I just simply plug it in the formula. So now all we need to do is to use a calculator to figure this out. So I'm sure you have your calculators. So 2,500 times 0.045, that's the rate of interest expressed as a decimal, and times 26 divided by 52, and that will be $56.25. So $56.25. This is the amount of interest that the bank is going to pay you. You may say it's not that much, but you didn't leave the money in the account for many years. It was only half a year, not even 1 year. So you don't expect to receive a big amount of interest. And now to find the final amount, all you need to do is to add it with the principal. So 56.25 plus 2,500. So $2,556.25. That's the final amount in your account, which the question was asking. It was asking how much is this investment worth after 26 weeks. It is worth $2,556.25. Now, we could have used this other formula directly as well. I'm not saying no. So we could have said A equals P times 1 plus RT. And if you plug in 2,500 and multiply 0.045 times 26 over 52 inside the brackets, you get the same answer that we got above. Mind you, it doesn't matter, but I just wanted to calculate both amount of interest, capital I, and the final amount, capital A. That's why I did it in 2 steps. But if you didn't want to know the interest and you want to know the final amount only, then you could just use this formula and get the answer. So all you need to do is just to practice and do a variety of questions with simple interest. And as I said, sometimes they may ask you to find the rate of interest or the time and all that. I can give you more examples. Let's say, let me erase this part of the board, and maybe I can give you a quick example here. Let's say the amount of interest given to an investor is like $120, okay? And let's say the principal was $6,500, and let's say the time that the investment was done was 2 years, or actually, let me put it like 18 months, okay? So 18 months. And we want to know the rate of interest, for example, okay? So if we want to find rate of interest, the formula is right there, I over PT. So we go R equals I over PT. Use the formula first. P is 6,500. Time is 18 months, which we have to divide it by 12 to convert it into years, because there's 12 months in every year. And now, using the calculator, we can find out the rate of interest to see how much we're going to get here. So we have 120 divided by, and 6,500 in the denominator times 18 divided by 12. So we get 0.0123. I got on the calculator. 123. So this is expressed as a decimal. So that would be 1.23% per year. or you may write 1.3% slash A. Slash A means per annum or per year. So the rate of interest in this bank apparently was 1.23%. And this is how we calculated the rate of interest, okay? So the more questions you do, the more skillful you'll become in this field. Thank you very much.